Hey guys, Lucian here, and welcome to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. I am so excited to bring you guys this piece of content because I myself love flight simulators and I've been waiting for this simulator to come out since the day it was announced. Today we're going to be going from Miami Opa Locka to Westchester County Airport up in New York. About a 2.5 hour flight. Right now Westchester looks to be pretty reined in, but hopefully that'll move on during the flight. We're going to be taking the Cessna Citation Longitude up there. This is an aircraft that I've personally been pretty excited to fly because in X-Plane there's no real good modern business jets that I've found that don't cost way too much. So I'm excited for this. This did cost a lot, but I think it's worth it for all of the stuff you get in the Premium Deluxe Edition. I won't be using the air traffic control system that Microsoft implemented because I am going to be programming my own route into the FMC. I prefer that over the route maker that you can use in the world page. Without further ado, let's start up the batteries here.
Autopilot.
And the external power. I'll also go ahead and start the APU. And throw in the APU gen. But don't forget about that. We can start off by going and setting this to FMS, when to option 2, and we can start programming the FMC. Flight plan, add origin, Kilo, Oscar, Papa, Foxtrot, 2, Kilo, Hotel, Papa, and November.
OPA Locka Airport information, Echo 1400 Zulu. Wind 231 at 5. Visibility, tree. Sky condition, few clouds at 1,100 feet, few clouds at 4,000 feet, few clouds at 11,800 feet. Temperature, 2.10. Altimeter 29.92. Visual runway 27 left and ILS runway 27 right in use. Landing and departing runway 27 left and runway 27 right. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact you have Echo.
Okay, that means we will be taking runway 27 right for departure, and after a bit of flight, we will go ahead and do a right turn to our first waypoint. Here we can see our plans on final, so we will go ahead and get ready and try and depart right after them. We'll go ahead and start the right engine here. We can see the N2 coming up. And we can hear it too. ITT is coming up, and the N1 as well. We can go ahead and close this. Here we can see the landing aircraft. And somewhere over there should be the other landing aircraft. Currently landing. Engine 2 has been stabilized, so we'll go ahead and start engine 1 here. Right there we can see the Cessna taxiing in. At least I think that's a Cessna. I wish there was more zoom, but there isn't. For taxi today, we'll just go ahead and take a right here, and another right, and then onto 27 right. I find that the sound in this simulator is probably the best of any simulator, especially in the GA aircraft. The GA aircraft in the simulator are just really good. We'll go ahead and turn on our taxi lights here, and we'll put on some panel lights too, because why not? We'll go ahead and arm the ELT. This is my second time flying this airplane, and the first time didn't go so well, so don't expect any good landings, but I will do my best. I think I'm gonna hold off on flying the airliners until they've all really been worked on a lot, because I've heard from others that they're not exactly perfect, especially the 787. That one needs the most work. But from what I've seen of all of the airports and the airplanes that I've flown, they're really good. And they've brought back some of that kind of mission aspect with the landing challenges and the bush trips. So, all in all, it's a very good game. And if you're gonna buy it, first of all, buy a joystick first if you don't already have one, and then second of all, if you do and you want to really get into simming, I would honestly recommend getting the premium deluxe version because of all the airplanes that you get in it. You get the SR-22, the 787, the Citation Longitude. There's just so much stuff in it that it's just really good. At some point, I believe that Asobo are probably going to push out an update for the avionics in all airplanes and the kind of flight planning capabilities of all airplanes, and make it so that all airplanes can have VNAV off of manually created routes and that kind of thing, which I'm personally very excited for because I'm not that big of a fan of the built-in flight planning tool, as I've already said. Another amazing feature of this simulator is the multiplayer. It provides seamless multiplayer for everyone around the world. Like, if you were, let's say, on X-Plane and you wanted to do some multiplayer flying, you'd have to use VATSIM, but what if you don't want to have to deal with air traffic control and just have to have fun, and just want to have fun? There's not really many options you can go to, but while here, you can either hop into a group-only session, or you can fly with everyone, which always works well. Right now, I'm flying in group-only, so no one can just run into me. But usually, I'm flying on everyone, because it's just more fun that way. It populates the airports more, and it's just better. We'll go ahead here and get set up for takeoff. Landing lights can come on, taxi lights can come on, pulse lights can come on. And we will go ahead and set this to altitude reporting. We can go ahead and turn off the APU here. And get a move on here. Looks to be no aircraft on final. And ADSB agrees with that. There is an aircraft flying overhead now. We'll see if we can see him here. Yep, there he is. And that's all real live traffic. So in real life, there would be an aircraft. Well, not exactly there, because obviously there's a delay, but there would be an aircraft who's flying the same route. We'll go ahead and make sure. Yep, lights are all good. Flaps are 1, speed brake is there, APU is off. Finals clear, and departure is clear. We will go ahead and get on out of here. I'm still incredibly surprised with how well this runs. This already looks so much better than X-Plan, and yet runs so much better. Obviously, the buildings aren't perfect, because this is obviously just data collected from up above, but honestly, when you're up there, it looks great. Alright, we'll go ahead and 50% on the throttles, and take off. We'll go ahead and gear up. We'll bring back the throttles just so we don't overspeed it already, and we'll start our outbound turn. Go ahead and increase the range on the map so we can actually see where we're going here. We'll go ahead and hand fly this airplane a bit more, as I am quite enjoying it. And here we can see my FPS dipping because we are loading in basically all of Miami, but once we get higher up, it'll be much better. On takeoff there, you could see one of the other issues I'm having with the sim. The rudder is quite twitchy. You can turn down the sensitivity, though, and I don't think I've done that enough, so I might do that in cruise just to make landing a bit easier. We'll go ahead and put on the autopilot here and let it do its thing and bring us back on course. Obviously, as you can see, ground textures do need some work, but this can all be fixed with better settings. Mine are turned down now so I can actually record this without breaking my computer, but if you turn up your settings, this will look absolutely stunning. Like, if you just look down below us from this altitude, this already looks amazing. This would look like you're flying in, like, one of the world's best simulators. Obviously, it's not perfect, but it's, right now, visually, this is basically the best of the best. And I think for default aircraft included with a simulator, this is also the best of the best. The only thing I'm really waiting for now are liveries and some updates to the capabilities, like VNAV capabilities and automatic altitude stuff. That's really all I'm waiting on. We're getting turned on course here, so I will go ahead and increase the range of the map a bit more again. So we can actually see completely where we're going. Almost at 10,000 feet, we'll go ahead and turn off the landing lights here. Randomly in the simulator, you do get giant pauses where the entire thing just stops and it waits for a while. It does look like a crash to desktop, but in reality it's just loading in scenery, because it is quite difficult to load it. But it's not that bad. It only lasts for maybe like 20 seconds at max, and it doesn't really do anything. Maybe with VATSIM it could cause some issues, but it'll work. And I also don't recommend flying on VATSIM. Model matching does take a very large chunk out of FPS, and it makes it very difficult to enjoy, I've heard. But that's not really an issue with me, seeing as I don't very often fly on VATSIM. But the lighting in the simulator just looks absolutely incredible. It is unfortunate that a lot of the airplanes don't actually have interiors, but you can set up views from the outside. It doesn't really matter that much. I'm sure that I'll be making more and more flight sim content at some point in the future. Probably some A320 flights, short haul, medium haul, and then GA stuff, because the GA airplanes are just amazing. I've flown a 172 before in real life, and I can say the sounds for the 172 are so realistic. It's really incredible what they've done. There's 18,000, altimeter's already set to standard. We'll keep climbing here and I'll see you all in cruise. You join me now in cruise here at 36,000 feet. I did have to descend a little to escape some turbulence that was up at flight level 400. We're now cruising at 250 knots, and I have done the calculations. 16 miles from Becker, we will start our descent to flight level 180, and from there we will do everything by hand. I'll throw up some cinematic shots in a little, and we'll start our descent shortly for you guys in the video, but in 2 hours for me. See you guys then. And you join me again, just about to cross over Rads, almost at our top of the descent point, which will be about 20 miles away from Sierra India Echo. Slight change of plans. Now the winds in Westchester are showing 060 at 5. That's what SkyVector is telling me. So we've had to change our approach to the ILS for 3-4. So at Deer Park, the VOR, we're going to be going for the intercept. So we'll still be descending down to 18,000 by Becker, but from then on we're going to descend directly to 2,000. Currently the rain seems to have moved on from Westchester, but we'll see what it is like when we actually get there. I'm not sure the live weather is actually deciding to work, but that's not that big of a deal, because, I mean, probably just cloudy out there. Obviously, the simulator isn't going to be perfect, seeing as it was released yesterday to the public. So, there's not much you can ask of Microsoft. They've already done a great job making this in Asobo. Just, for what we already have, this is really good. I've had a couple issues with this airplane, mainly one that it might be doing right now as well. It kind of snakes across the GPS track, which is a little annoying, and sometimes it starts just overcorrecting the trim and keeps going up and down with the pitch, so sometimes you just have to disconnect the autopilot and then immediately re-add it. That'll fix it. And we will go ahead and start our descent here. I missed descend point by a little, so we'll do a 14,000 foot per minute descent here. Throttles will go ahead and come to idle. Ooh, and some FPS drops here and there. But should have returned. Yep, there's the FPS back again.
White Plains Airport Information Golf 1700 Zulu. Wind 239er at 5. Visibility, tree. Sky condition, few clouds at 1,100 feet, few clouds at 4,000 feet, few clouds at 11,800 feet. Temperature, 20. Dew point, 10. Altimeter 29.902. ILS runway 16 in use. Landing and departing runway 16. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact you have golf.
Well, that's all I had to hear from that, and I already know that live weather isn't working, but it's not that big of a deal. We'll just deal with a tailwind, even though I don't really know what this airplane feels like to fly. That looks like Farmingdale, but I can't tell. That should be Farmingdale, yeah, it is. We can actually slow down our rate of descent here, because I think we're going to comfortably make it to 2,000. I'm really enjoying the bush adventures so far. That they have. I'm currently doing the one, the X-Cub, and it's pretty fun. It's got some good flying in the middle of nowhere, high FPS, because you're not loading in any cities. Here we are at JetX. I'm going to quickly switch over to Nav 1 and approach mode. We'll go ahead and be armed. Already intercepted the localizer, and glide slope will come in once we reach Theo. This localizer capturing is already 3 million times as good as X-Plane, because in X-Plane, we would have shot over the localizer by miles. We're going to shoot over the localizer a little here, but not nearly as much as we would have in X-Plane. Over there we can already see Westchester, and we can see some visual bugs, but that'll all be fixed, I think, at some point. Right now, if the real weather was actually working, we'd probably be in the middle of some clouds, from what I've heard from the actual ATIS. Well, actually, now it might not be. Yeah, scattered at 600 feet, broken at 1,000. That's what SkyVector is telling me when I hover over the airport. And I see the glide slope coming in here, so we're gonna slow ourselves down to approach speed. So I'm just gonna throw us down at 137. That'll work. I'll go ahead and put in full flaps here. We'll intercept glide slope in 1 second. Well, airplane, what are you doing? There's the glide slope. This is going to be very interesting. Actually, wow, it corrected surprisingly well. Lights are all good, gear is down. Let's say we have clearance to land, flaps are full. We're all good here, so we're going to go ahead and get ready to land. I'm going to let the airplane calm down first. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the autopilot here and try and get used to how this thing feels. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the auto throttles. If my glide slope management... Oh wow, this airplane feels quite odd. I'm not really sure, but this also is new. I've never flown it before, so don't expect the best landing here out of me. I don't know how to fly this thing. Never flown it before. You see, if you put me on a Cessna in this approach, I would be fine. I've done it before, but in this thing, this is kind of just new to me. I don't know what it should feel like. It feels very heavy on the up trim, though. It feels like you need 150 knots to keep it complete and good and not stalling out of the air. And yet you can lift off at 120 here. So I'm gonna try and stick around the 137 that I put in. Flare probably isn't gonna go well. It's probably gonna send me very high. You can see me going all around the localizer. I'll try and learn this aircraft a bit better, but no promises. Low FPS now. This is probably the worst time it could have frame drops, but all fixed now. We'll go ahead and idle here. Not that bad of a landing. Actually, no, that was pretty bad, but what were you expecting out of me? This is the first time I've ever landed this thing. So, honestly, not half bad. We can see an aircraft actually departing in front of us. So, a bit unfortunate on our part, but that wasn't half bad. Honestly, I'm okay with it. For being way too fast, and this being my second time flying the aircraft, that wasn't half bad. We'll go ahead and start braking kind of heavily here. And I don't actually know where we're going to go. We're going to probably go to an FBO off to the right here. Anyways, guys, that's it for the video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, don't forget to hit that like button and that subscribe button, as it would help me out a ton. That's it for the video. See you guys in the next one. Peace.